Welcome for step number 5. We got lots to cover in this one. We've got the front end to build. So first things first, we're going to take that front gearbox that we built up earlier. We're going to take the B block. The B block is the most minuscule one, has the least amount of material to it. And we have two options on the B block. Just one pill, but two different orientations. So either up or down. This is our only way to adjust the kick-up on this vehicle. So you have the pill downward, so the dot is down. That is going to give you more kick-up. So this is going to go on the B block, so basically it's the angle of your drive pin here. Let's screw it in here first, and then we'll show you. So you just need a couple of your 4x10 flats. So again, this will be more kick-up, and if it was up here, it'd be less kick-up. So more kick-up's going to make it dive more on the front under braking. It's going to be better through the bumps. And then if you were on like a really smooth high bite track or just smoother, higher speed, you'd want to flip this around, put the pill up top, and that will give you less kick-up. It'd keep the front end flatter and a little bit more direct. So then they want us to put in the arms here. I've already cut the arms and trimmed the flashing. Make sure it's all free. And actually I want to put the set screws in too. I like to do that beforehand. So we'll grab our two big set screws. This will be our droop screws actually. And again, push them in through the top. You notice the top because it says Kyosho and the right or left of the arm on the top. Just get those started. And then we can put the hinge pin through both sides. And again, we have those shims. Now they show the shims on the back. I often put them on the front. It's a very small change. It's kind of just preference. This will make the front a little bit shorter, a little bit more weight on the front. I mean, it's tiny, it's a 1/2 mil. So I do it, a lot of it for ease. It's easier to take on and off, but you can play with that if you need to. And then for the A block, we don't have adjustments for it. We just have this one pill. It's a centered pill. So keep it nice and simple, optimum position. Press that into the A block here. And install the 4x22 button heads into the front. So again, you want to make sure that it drops freely. As you can see, it is not doing so. So you can loosen these a little bit, and if that helps fix it and it drops freely, you're good. If you have to loosen it quite a bit, you want to remove that shim. But just a little bit to take that tension off, it's absolutely fine. I've had zero issues doing that. Your mileage may vary. All right. Next step, we jump to 24. We got our shock towers here. So we got 3x22 cap heads and our shock standoffs here. Going in the middle hole. Thread that in. Tighten it up. Do the other side. And after this step, we're going to be jumping to our favorite, the upper camber links again. But we know how to do them quicker now after step 4, bag 4. So once that's tight, again, here come them camber links. So if you remember from the rear, we're going to make sure that our notch stays to the left. And as far as that tree goes, all the ones that were on the right are for the front. So pull those off right quick. Chuck up one. Again, thread it on. Thread it off. Set it aside. That's the problem though. When you drop it, you don't know which way it was. We're gonna do it by heat. All right, we got it. This side's hot. How's that for scientific? All right, so that's the one we've already threaded. So then we'll do this other one. Thread it on, thread it off, and thread it most of the way. We're looking for about 10 mil, so it's pretty short. So tighten it up a little bit more. Loosen it. And then you should be able to just thread it out. And since these are the same length, these plastic pieces, and the same shape, it doesn't matter left or right. It's only going to matter once you put in the camber-link balls into them. That's when you're going to have to pay attention to what you're doing. So for now, we're just going to leave it like that and build up the other one. Sometimes it's hard to hold on. These ones are a little tighter. So you thread it on, thread it off to make it easier when you're adjusting it in the future. All right. So thread this one on, and again, we're looking for approximately 10 millimeters for the positions they are suggesting us to run, which looks like the outer middle hole on the tower. I've never ran there before. Let's see where they got us on the outer link. Inner hole. We'll check it out. So let's see, we got 10 mil. No, I'm gonna buck directions here. I run 11 mil usually. I'm just going to put it in the positions that I run. Since this is going to an American driver, I'm going to stick with that for now. Sorry for my pulsating calipers here. Fine-tune adjustment as you need it. There we go. That's where we want it. That 11. Okay. Now we need to put the camber-link balls in here. Again, check out lutzrc.com. Under the Kyosho tab, I have some information on the aluminum balls and like how, if you want to try to save some weight on your car, it could be things you can see how much these weigh more than the aluminum options to see if it's worth it for you. So again, we're going to make sure that the notch is to the left. And so if this is going to be a right one, we need to put the ball one to the outside. And then put this one. My brain never focuses enough. Let's see. This is going to be the right side. The camber-link ball goes from the well, actually, in these it doesn't matter because you can just flip it. So much less particular here on the front ones than the rear were. Okay, because then I can just adjust it like this or that, because the outer ones, regardless, it's the same. The only thing you have to worry about is making sure that notch is to the left, notch is to the left. So the small one's on the outside, so you put the small one on the outside over here. And that's all ball and doesn't have the flange to it. Okay. And this one I'll just more worry about, again, see kind of a ring around one side and the other side's flat. So I always try to push these into the ring part if possible. And again, make sure they articulate freely. If by any chance they don't, like this one's a little snug, kind of just give a little bit of a pinch and it frees it up. All right, so that's good. And then it wants us to install it onto the tower already in step 25. So we'll do that with our 3x10 cap screws. There they are. So the screw goes in first, and I normally run the inside middle hole here. Again, you could put a dab of Loctite on there, not gonna hurt. Those up really good, and just to triple check yourself, make sure you have this oriented to the front, not just to the left. We're good. Now we're going to install it onto the front bulkhead we built earlier. And again, this can be a little tight sometimes, so sometimes it's all right to relieve a little bit of the pressure there, so that'll slide in better. Get your 2.0 bit on. We need some 3x10s, 3x10 flats over here. And then don't forget to re-snug these bulkhead screws up. And then we need our 4x12 button heads to finish off the tower. Alright, there we got it. That is step 26. Jump into 27. Time to build our knuckles. Alright, 27. So we've already got our caster blocks loosened up. These are 17.5 degree. And they show us taking our caster, our knuckle himself. Gotta take our bearing inserts and trim them up. So a nice sharp X-Acto works well for this. Again, don't stab yourself. Alright, once you got that done, place your 4 bearings into the inserts. Press fit, nice and easy. And then compress them into your knuckles. The rear one might need a little bit of assistance. You can push the drive shaft in, give it a nice press. Usually it'll go in pretty good. So by having the outer one in already, when you press in the inner one, make sure that they're lined up good so they'll slide right in. Okay. And our shims and our hubs, wheel hubs, and the wheel hub pin. And again, you can use the set screws if you want. I don't use them. I always forget. If I do use them, I forget that they're there, and then I feel like I'm trying to force that hub off and I can't get it off, and it just gets frustrating, and then I scar the thing. So it's just better not to use it for me. It's not a big concern not to use it because these are captured by the wheel, so they're not going to fly out even if the set screw out here was loose. So once you get that on, make sure it spins nice and free. To the other side. Oops. So free, the pin falls right through it. Okay. Get your set screw on. And make sure it's free. So then we have that part, and then it shows us installing it into the block itself. So we have the R and the L on here, and the R and L on here. So we want the long one. The long bushing goes towards the bottom. The small bushing up top. Do that for both. Okay, make sure we got the R and the R. But I want to also put, this one's critical for Loctite. Make sure you get it on the threads here. This is one of those things you just don't want to have come undone, because if this comes undone, if the screw comes out, it can mean the damage of your caster block, the knuckle. It can be an expensive proposition if this thing comes loose. So definitely want the Loctite on there. And then also on the screws that are going to go into those holes. All right. Then you need a 3.0 driver. And guess what, guys? I forgot that downstairs. So we're going to set these in here. We're going to lightly put the screw in there. Do the same for the other side. So again, this will use a 3mm screw, 3mm heads here. And we're going to pause for station identification. All right, hopefully you enjoyed the commercial break. I got my 3.0 driver now. All right, tighten these up now. So we'll snug up one side, snug up the other side, and then we'll actually use my towel around this tool to really tighten it. And then do my 10 count and hold. And same to the other side. Alright, and it's smooth. It's not as free as the aluminum ones, but it is smooth. So as long as the action is smooth there, you'll be alright, and it'll wear in the little bit that's necessary. So snug up either end. Oops. And tighten it down. 3, 10. So we got our 10 counts there. Make sure the action is smooth. Okay. And that completes step 27. Jump into 28. We're going to install them onto the front end of the car. So for that, we need to get our pills. So you have two different option pills here. You can actually adjust the caster. The caster comes at 17.5. That 17.5 is accurate if you run the centered pills. So the centered one is right there. And then the other one has the hole a little bit down, which allows you to go +1 or -1 degree. So we're going to run the zeros. So that'll keep us at the true 17.5 caster for now. Now if you were to run the other ones, it's kind of like a inverse orientation. So if you run the hole down like that, that'll actually give you more caster. And if you run the hole high, that's less caster. So more casters, generally more steering on a high speed sections. It'll be smoother initially. And less caster will give you a little bit more initial, a little bit less on power. So if you're on higher bite tracks, a lot of times more caster is nice. Lower bite tracks, a lot of times less caster is nice. Those are some of your basics. So we're going to use the zeros though, keep it at 17.5. And then our spoon. Nut. Do the opposite side. Yeah, the caster blocks are one part where the plastic ones are fine, they'll get you by, but the aluminum ones are a nice upgrade and will definitely help you with any durability issue you might have with the plastic one, but they'll be all right. And then we're going to need to mount our upper camber link, the 3x22 cap with a nut. So it must be these long guys. And you know what? We forgot to do like we did in the previous steps. So we want to, again, shorten these out drives a little bit. For those that weren't here for the previous video, the out drives stick out a little bit, the pin sticks out a little bit past the out drive, and that can cause a cupping. If you haven't seen it, go back to step number 4 and you can watch. So what I like to do, I shorten these pins up so they sit completely inside of the out drive. And to me that just helps create consistency throughout the entire lifetime that you run the car, instead of it changing and all of a sudden having a little cup there that catches during your suspension travel and can create things that you might not know what's happening, but the car doesn't feel right. And so this, I feel, helps with that consistency. So here we go. There you have it. Just take off a couple mil there so it sits completely inside of the outdrive cup. Okay, and then I run the inside hole here. Oops, timber. Okay, that finishes up step number 28. So next we have 29. We're going to build our sway bar links for the front end. So these plastic bits are left over from previous bag. And then we got our sway bar link balls to press in. So the little silver one in one side. And then what I like to do, again for these, you'll see on one side it has like a circle around it, and the other side's pretty flat looking. So I like to press them into the side with a circle. They just seem to have better articulation. You can grasp it maybe, or you can use the tool. But again, just make sure it's free. Make sure it's free. That one feels pretty good. Okay, so then this, we're going to put our little set screws up here. And I will put a dab of Loctite on these. Okay, and then we put these into the arms. It uses the really long 3x18 set screw. So just thread each of those in. Next, we get to install the sway bar. Again, it comes with a little shrink tube with a 2-3, the size on it. I don't have a lighter on me, so we're just going to install it as is for the moment being. Grab those sway bar guards from the start. A couple set screws and the tiny screws. Drop the set screws in first, in the middle hole. Up. So again, so sway bars, the car is coming with 2.3, 2.8. It does seem like a very popular, common setup that I think like Savoia and Joao run over in Europe. Over here in America, or at least for my driving, I don't know if it's my driving or if it's our tracks, but I'm running a lot more like a 2.3 front, 2.5 rear, so a lot lighter in the rear. So it'll be interesting to see. I'll have to try out, this setup, kind of give it a go again when it gets summer again. It's hard here in Ohio. It's winter and cold. If anybody wants to buy me a nice ranch out in Texas or something, build me a track, I can practice more. Alright, so once those are tightened up, then I'll tighten up the set screw. I want just a little bit of play, forward and back, left and right. I'm trying to make it same. That play just how. So it'll drop nice and easy. It has a little bit left and right. And then as far as my mount them, I won't tighten either one until they're both in, and then I'll hold it flush against the end. That's the same. I'll try to hold both at an angle, that way you can still get to it even once the car is all put together. Do them both equally, and again do it with the arms flat on the ground. So you can lift up either one the same amount before the other side lifts. So it's equal left and right. And that was step 29. jumping ahead of 30. Another gratifying step as we get to mount the front on the car. But before we do that, I also do the same thing with the outdrive on the center, because it'll also cup. And even though it doesn't have the same change of motion, I still like to do it. One thing to keep in mind, it's probably going to be more prevalent or more important on a nitro where you have the brake discs, because I actually feel like these will actually just barely touch the brake disc sometimes. So just take a little bit of material off on either end. Okay. So got that done. So now it doesn't stick out past the outdrive. And we get to install it on the front of the car. Sorry, battery cut off, so we're gonna install the front end onto the car. Always a gratifying step. So kind of slide it there underneath your Ackerman plate. Put a seat right in there. And then first thing we got to do, we got our 4x15s to go in the rear. All here. Or the front, sorry. So one. And then throw on your bumper before you throw these two on. Okay. So we got that. And that was bag 5, so not much left there. So that's the end of bag 5. Quickly before I end, I'm also going to do the same thing I did with the front center outdrive. Do that to the rear. Scuff it up really quick. I'm sure you don't want to watch. So we will catch you on step number 6.